Emily Harris arrives at her family's old beach house, which stands as a weathered relic of a bygone era. The house, with peeling white paint and dusty windows, is set against an overgrown driveway. The surroundings are somber and neglected, with a sense of foreboding in the air. The sky is clear but tinged with the soft pink and orange hues of a setting sun. As Emily gets out of her car and approaches the house, the tranquility of the beach seems a distant promise. Emily takes a walk on the beach, which is deserted and has remnants of storm damage. The moonlight casts an eerie glow over the scene, illuminating scattered driftwood and old beach toys. Emily discovers a tarnished locket partially buried in the sand. The locket's intricate design and the faded photograph inside evoke a sense of mystery and unease. Back at the beach house, night falls, and a thick fog begins to roll in, obscuring the view and creating an oppressive atmosphere. Inside, the house feels cold and lifeless, with creaking floorboards and rattling shutters. Emily tries to relax on the couch with a book, but is soon disturbed by a loud crash from upstairs. The scene is dimly lit by the faint glow of a single lamp, with shadows dancing on the walls. Emily ascends to the attic, which is cluttered with old furniture draped in white sheets, dusty trunks, and cobwebs. The attic is cold and musty, and the atmosphere is tense with the anticipation of something ominous. She approaches an old mirror with a tarnished gold frame, and as she nears it, she sees a shadowy figure moving behind her in the reflection. The mirror trembles, and the ghostly figure of a woman begins to emerge from it, her face contorted in sorrow. Emily is gripped by fear as the temperature drops and the ghostly woman's wail fills the attic. She panics, knocking over objects as she tries to escape, her flashlight flickering wildly. The scene is chaotic, with Emily's fear reflected in the mirror's darkening surface. Emily flees from the attic, running down the stairs and locking the attic door behind her. The house is eerily silent, with the distant echoes of the ghostly cries growing fainter. Outside, the dawn breaks, casting a pale light over the beach. Emily, disheveled and fearful, gathers her belongings and hurriedly leaves the house, never looking back. The story begins with Sarah Collins arriving at Crescent Beach. It is twilight, transitioning into night, with the sky darkening and heavy storm clouds rolling in. The beach is crescent-shaped with jagged rocks and sand stretching out, reflecting a desolate, almost foreboding atmosphere. The waves are crashing against the shore with a threatening intensity, hinting at the storm to come. Sarah explores the beach and discovers a large, weathered wooden chest partially buried in the sand. The chest is bound with rusted iron and appears ancient. When she opens it, she finds old photographs, the most disturbing of which shows a woman on this very beach with a look of terror in her eyes. The scene is set in the dim moonlight, with Sarah's lantern providing the only light. As night falls, a storm begins to brew, intensifying quickly. Rain starts to pour heavily, and the winds howl, creating an oppressive atmosphere. Sarah takes refuge in a nearby cave, which is dark and damp. The storm's roar is muffled but persistent, echoing through the cave. The rain visibly pummels the entrance, adding to the sense of isolation. Inside the cave, Sarah discovers the cave's deeper, more mysterious parts. The cave is filled with old jagged rocks and pools of stagnant water. She encounters a shadowy figure resembling the woman from the photograph, standing eerily still. The flashlight reveals an unsettling face with hollow eyes. The cave's darkness and dampness add to the tension, with the woman's figure emerging from the shadows. The figure in the cave becomes more menacing, and the atmosphere grows increasingly tense. The mirror-like pool of water reflects eerie images, and the figure's silent, haunting wails fill the cave. Sarah, overwhelmed by fear, tries to escape, knocking over objects as she stumbles through the dark cave. The scene is chaotic, with the flashlight beam darting around, casting erratic shadows. Sarah escapes the cave, running back to the beach amidst the storm. The storm is now at its peak, with crashing waves and howling winds creating a formidable barrier. Sarah races along the sand, drenched and terrified, as the ghostly figure emerges from the waves. Lightning illuminates the scene, revealing the figure's ominous approach. The beach is wild and threatening, consumed by the storm. In the aftermath of her harrowing experience, Sarah drives away from Crescent Beach. The storm still rages, and the beach house and the figures are barely visible through the rain-soaked windshield. The storm's fury reflects Sarah's emotional turmoil as she leaves the nightmare behind, the beach and its haunted past receding into the distance. Jack arrives at Black Sand Beach, a remote and foreboding location. The beach is draped in an overcast sky with dark, threatening clouds and a nearly lifeless appearance. The sand is black and seems unusually cold and desolate. The usual sounds of the beach are absent, replaced by an unsettling silence. Jack explores the beach and finds an ancient, weathered journal on a dusty shelf in the cottage. The journal's pages are filled with disturbing entries about strange occurrences and whispers. Intrigued and unsettled, Jack decides to take a walk on the beach where he discovers large, deep footprints leading to a cave. Jack approaches the cave entrance, which is partially hidden by sand and overgrown vegetation. The cave's entrance is dark and foreboding, and the storm clouds in the background add to the sense of impending danger. Jack's flashlight flickers as he ventures inside. Inside the cave, Jack discovers old carvings on the walls, strange symbols and anguished faces. He finds a rotting chest filled with tarnished coins, broken jewelry, and a photograph of a woman with a hauntingly familiar face. The cave is damp and cold, with eerie shadows cast by Jack's flashlight. Jack returns to the cottage but is disturbed by soft, rhythmic whispering coming from the beach. The whispers grow louder and more insistent as Jack heads back to the cave. Inside, the whispers become a desperate plea. "Find us. Save us." Jack feels an icy grip and experiences increasing dread. Jack intensifies his search in the cave, deciphering the symbols and matching them with the design on the locket he discovered. The cave grows colder and the whispers become more frantic. Jack's flashlight reveals the locket and its matching symbols, deepening his sense of urgency and connection to the restless spirits. Jack places the photograph and locket on a flat rock at the edge of the shore as a final gesture to appease the spirits. The beach is calm, with the storm having passed, and the early morning light begins to break through. Jack leaves Black Sand Beach, feeling a mixture of relief and lingering unease. Laura Treadwell arrives at a secluded beach house. The setting sun casts a golden light over the dilapidated house and the surrounding desolate beach. The house is weather-beaten, with peeling paint and a sense of abandonment. The beach stretches out, empty and pristine. Laura finds a dark shape in the surf and retrieves it, a battered photograph in a waterlogged frame. The photograph is faded, showing people in old-fashioned clothes with the date 1924 written at the bottom. Laura digs in the sand and uncovers a small rusted metal box filled with trinkets, a tarnished locket, a broken compass, and yellowed letters. The letters describe the curse of the forgotten tide.
As Laura reads the letters, she learns about the curse and feels a growing sense of unease. The tides begin to recede, revealing deep, strange grooves in the sand. At night, the wind howls, and the beach house creaks. Laura sees ghostly apparitions rising from the sand, their faces twisted in agony. The mist rolls in, and the whispers of lost souls grow louder. Laura frantically runs through the mist, with the apparitions pursuing her. She races toward the distant lighthouse, her only hope of escape. Laura finds refuge in the lighthouse, where the storm outside intensifies. The rising tide can be seen from the lantern room, with the sea reclaiming the beach. Laura is alone, huddled in the dark lighthouse, with the echoes of the lost souls' cries lingering.
Thomas Klein arrives in the coastal town of Seabrook. The day is gray and overcast, with the wind whipping up and the sea crashing against the rocks. The lighthouse stands tall and forlorn on a rocky promontory, its paint peeling and its lantern dark. The small cottage beside the lighthouse is old and weather-beaten, with a sense of abandonment. Thomas walks down to the beach, where the tide is unusually high. The sand is icy, and the water is illuminated faintly by a crescent moon. He sees a tall, gaunt silhouette standing at the water's edge, but it vanishes when he blinks. Thomas returns to the lighthouse and finds the door slightly ajar. Inside, the lighthouse is dusty and neglected. Thomas climbs the spiral staircase to the lantern room, where the large empty glass lantern and rusted frame are visible. As Thomas stands in the lantern room, he hears a low, mournful wailing and whispers growing louder. The glass panes rattle, and the lantern light pulses erratically. Thomas sees the gaunt figure reflected in the glass, reaching out with a face of anguish. The light flares up suddenly, casting a brilliant beam through the darkness, but quickly fades. The voices and whispers grow more urgent. Thomas realizes the lighthouse is a prison for lost souls. In a frantic escape, Thomas forces open a window in the lantern room, crawls out onto the ledge, and climbs down the lighthouse. He returns to the cottage and packs his belongings to leave the haunted place behind. Thomas leaves Seabrook, driving away while the lighthouse stands ominously in the background. The lighthouse remains dark and imposing, a permanent fixture on the rocky cliff.
As the final echoes of the tale fade into the darkness, remember this: in the shadows where fear takes root, the true horror lies not in the creatures that lurk, but in the darkness within ourselves. We tell these stories not just to scare or entertain, but to confront the fears that we try so hard to ignore. So as you step back into the light of the real world, carry with you the lessons of the night. The monsters we create are reflections of our deepest anxieties, and the strength to overcome them is within each of us. Sleep well, and remember, in the realm of fear, we are the true masters of our fate. Good night, and may your dreams be free of shadows. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, subscribe and click the notification bell for you to see my future update on this channel. Stay safe and always remember to lock your doors.